All right, what up, fam? We are now live on Facebook. I think we're live on YouTube, Instagram. What's up, everybody? Like and share this feed on Instagram, YouTube. Now don't forget to click mute on your um. Okay, to click mute on your screen. All right, guys, like and share this feed, guys, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, there's so many different platforms we're live on today, so I'm pretty excited about Um, all right, guys. This is week number 80 actually, or 81. Is it
81.
81? So we're almost 100 episodes, which is really cool. Um, we are going live talking about staying committed. So we're a little later than we're on for normal, but we are going to be on for the next 30 minutes talking about some dope stuff about staying committed. So, Natalie, what's your thought process about staying committed? What does that mean to you, staying committed?
That's pretty much staying in the game, staying consistent, not wavering in your belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can your actions will waver from time to time because of certain situations and circumstances, but not wavering in your belief that this thing is going to work. That's what really staying committed means to me. And now that you put me on the spot, I'm going to have to pull it up on the dictionary.com and really figure out what committed, get that definition, not the one in my head, but really staying unwavering in the beliefs that you're going to be successful, that you're going to actually get to the end result that you desire, the vision that you have from the beginning. You're going to see that come to pass. That's what staying committed is, staying in the game.
I think that's a really good definition of it. I think a lot of times too is staying committed means when you don't feel like it, especially because there are a lot of times where we do different things where we're excited originally about it, but when it comes to longevity of what we're talking about, it's very much so lackadaisical. Where, oh, for example, New Year, new me, New Year's resolution is so popular when it comes to staying committed because it's the 10th day of the new year and already staying committed to what we said we're going to do this year. Some people are graded, some people are just starting. It's just different things that works for you. So as you realize about staying committed, you have to really make a decision to say, you know what, no matter how this look, I'm going to stay committed towards this goal or to this idea, because it's very hard to be committed to something that it rocks you off your core. There are things that I love to do that I'm committed to, but sometimes I feel like, hey, like it's not working the way I thought it would be. So are you going to allow how you feel to determine your level of commitment? Because sometimes you don't feel like doing something. Sometimes you don't feel like, I don't feel like doing this today. But the thing about it is I have to realize is I'm committed to this. So because I made this virtual contract or this contract on my mind about what I'm going to do for this amount of time, I have to stay the course and be committed to it, because it's up to me to. I want to be successful. I want to see the end game. A lot of times too, we don't get to see the end of a lot of different things because we're so quick to move to the next thing or to quit to give up.
So you pulled up that word contract, and I was looking up the word committed before, which is everything we said, which includes dedication, being loyal to something. When you just said contract, that sparked something in me. And a contract is a written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, or tenancy. I don't even know what that word means. That is intended to be enforceable by law, right? And you said you make a mental or a verbal contract with yourself. And a lot of the times, I don't think people actually think about how big that is, right? It said that the contract is intended to be enforceable by law. And no, the agreement that we make with ourselves is not enforceable by, the police or, law enforcement or a judge outside of us, but we become the judge or the enforcer in our own success when we decide that we're going to be committed to a process or an avenue or a business or whatever the case may be. But we never think about it as a contract. I wish I had thought about it like that before you saying it today, but I didn't. And now that you have illuminated this, now I'm seeing it from a different point of view. Like before I make the decision to go down a particular route, I need to count the costs. I need to figure out what I am willing to, what I have the capacity to do, and what am I willing to do in this moment, and still give myself flexibility to grow into the position of becoming what I am committed to. So I love the fact that you use the word contract, because now it makes it more legally binding for me in my mind, right? It's not just I can, I'm doing this 10-day smoothie fast, right? I'm committed to doing the fast. In the past, there have been times when I've done it where I was like, okay, I want to do it, but I never committed to it. I was like, by day 3, this don't feel good. I'm done. I don't feel like I need to do this anymore. This is taking too much out of me. But now that I am committed to doing this thing, not only am I doing it, but I'm also sharing the journey with other people. I'm also asking people to hold me accountable. I'm also, putting some boundaries around myself so that I can make sure that I maintain the verbal contract that I spoke with myself to see this thing through till the end.
Oh, I think that's so important. For most, it's good that you say that, because the way I look at, so the Bible talks about Habakkuk 2:2, right? I think it too, write the vision, make it plain. So why that's so important is because once I write stuff on paper, especially my goals and my dreams and my commitments, I write that down, because once I write it down, it represents a legal contract with myself, where if you look up the contract, what a contract is a legal document formed between 2 or more parties. After the contract is signed, parties are legally obligated to deliver upon a contract's term, the obligations, and the other implications outlined in the agreement. For when you think about that, there are certain things I have listed in goals and dreams. For example, is there's some things I'm working on right now. Is I'm trying to have at least 3 events a month. Chef Jay's Encounter. I'm adding 3 hours a day towards working on business. There's certain things I'm doing every single day. But I wrote that down. The reason why is because I made a contract with myself. A lot of times when it comes to other people, we will hold it up. But when it comes to us, we don't have a clear representation about what's important, because we never made it a legal binding thing. For example, is if you don't get this done by a certain time, what are you going to give up if you don't get it done? So you got to put implications in place for yourself, because they're so easy for things to be, I can say the word lackadaisical, or it's not as serious, where if somebody else didn't hold up their contract, it's like, oh, well, they didn't do this for me. They didn't do this for me. But what about when you don't hold up stuff for yourself? What is your representation of that? What do you have implied? Do you give yourself as much slack when you don't do it? Because there's a level of commitment you got to have towards yourself. And I realized that if I don't have myself as an accountability partner to myself, there are a lot of things that don't get done, and the more and more I make myself accountable, the more and more I see results. If you want to see results happen in your life, you got to show up. You got to give yourself a requirement. Like, you know what? I'm going to stay committed no matter how it feels. I'm going to stay committed no matter how it looks, because there are some times in our life, there's some things that come where it's not about really what happens to us, but it's about how we respond to it. And some things that happen is we have to respond with grace, and sometimes eat humble pie when it's just like, even it's not your fault, but you got to realize that I'm committed towards this. I am legally bound towards my success because I want to see myself win. And when you think about it, there's some things in your life that comes to take you off your guard, but there's a lesson inside of that. There's something that really is a lesson that shows, you know what, this happens to me for a reason. So let me just pivot from this moment. And I'm at a place right now where I've always been in this place. I'm not letting anybody stop me from what I, said I'm going to do, but I'm being the number one stopper. And most times I realize that I have to hold myself more accountable every single time to make sure I achieve what I say I'm going to achieve.
That is so, so good. I put in the chat. I'm trying to be in every chat as I can. But I love the fact that you said I have to commit to myself first. So there's something that I say with my community is you can accelerate the steps, but you can't skip any steps. And I feel like there's so many of us that are trying to skip the step of committing to ourselves first, but they want to commit to other people. And it's never going to happen until we do it to ourselves first. Stephen Covey, He is phenomenal. He had the 7 habits, or wrote the 7 habits of highly effective people. And his son went on to create a whole company based on that particular book, right? And
Oh,
he says in the book that we can't, private victories always precede public victories. Things that we do behind the scenes always precede things that happen in public. One of those private victories have to be us, being committed to ourselves first. We cannot expect anything from other people if we're not willing to give that to ourselves first. And so many times we are expecting to be committed to other people when we are not first committed to ourselves. Think about even in a marriage relationship, right? There's so many people, or in a dating relationship, there's so many people that don't commit to themselves, but then they want to commit to other people. And then they find out that they're cheating or they're doing other things, and they, get so surprised that they're doing something crazy. But it's like, you never took the time out to commit to yourself. You never took the time out to say, this is the type of person that I'm going to be. This is the boundary that I'm going to hold, and then show up for other people in the same manner. Too many times we're trying to show up for people and not for ourselves. And last thing, it's so funny because I had a conversation with a friend. You just sparked me when you said commit to yourself first. I had a conversation with a friend, and we were having a conversation with someone else, and she was like, what's going on? Why are you, hating on this person? I'm like, I'm not hating on the person, right? And it wasn't totally like that, but I'm paraphrasing. I was like, I'm just sick of her not showing up for herself. I was like, she shows up for everybody else. She has everybody else's back, but she does not have her own back. And it irks me and it sickens me, because I'm like, if you would show up for you the same way you show up for other people, my God, you will be light years ahead of so many other people in your genre, in your industry right now, because you're pouring into yourself first, and out of your overflow, everybody else gets. Too many times we are trying to pour from an empty cup. We're trying to give people things that we don't believe that we either deserve, or we have the fortitude to give it to ourselves, or whatever the case may be. And it's showing. It's showing when you show up in the marketplace. It's showing when you show up live. It's showing when you're showing up in your relationships. We can tell. People can tell. We think that people are emotionally unintelligent. We really think that people are emotionally unintelligent. This is why Cat Williams went viral, because all the stuff that we have been feeling and sensing, he gave language to. People are not as dumb as we think they are. We just have to start realizing we got to start with ourselves first, and then everybody else.
That's so important. And I love that you said that sometimes you show so many other people didn't show for yourself. And I realize in my level of business where I love business, I could be so much further in business, but there are a lot of times I show up for other people more than I show up for myself. Where if Natalie give me an idea for that she's working on, oh, I'm gung ho about it. But when it's some stuff that's for me, we had a conversation back in 2020. I mean, writing this book that I still didn't finish, that, it's in my notes about, me doing my book about, I can't say the title now because I'm still working on it. But that was 4 years ago, come to think about it, almost 4 years ago, that I've already reached out to her about starting that. But for me, it's like, okay, so how to show for myself more, because I think it's hard to be a teacher and a coach, because your whole goal is to see everybody win. But there are some points that you have to step out on yourself and say, okay, I'm making sure everybody win, but I'm not winning enough myself. Where you have to be so passionate about just, you want to see yourself win as much as you see others win. And you have to make a contract. For example, I've learned that it's easier for me to make smaller in fragments of success. What I mean by that is, so let's say the overall goal is a 12-month goal. I've learned that it's a 12-month goal, but I have to do month by month, weekly check-ins, because I want to make sure I'm successful in what I'm doing. So I think it's so important to break down your goals into smaller sections, because it's easy to praise yourself for small amounts of success. My students are so dope because when they finally get something that's small, but once they get it, they're so excited, they want to be celebrated. Because listen, if I celebrate them with the small stuff, they'll know they can get the big stuff, and I realize that when it comes to you have to stay committed, because things are going to take a while sometimes to develop. Some things don't happen overnight. There are some things that are instantaneous, and there's some things that you have to work at. you know, where there's certain things I've had to learn where it wasn't an overnight situation. Some things I got it right because I'm a fast learner. So some things I get right away, but there are some things I have to take time learning and really making it up. So, for example, I started a new clothing line called EMT. EMT stands for Elevated Messages, Message Threads, which is about really increasing your mindset. I think a lot of times too, the reason why we don't have a lot of success is because we don't keep positivity around us. So the shirt I'm wearing today kind of goes with the theme about finishing strong. You click the link in my bio and get this hoodie. But finishing strong is so important when it comes to staying committed. Listen, you know that little plug. But it's so important to finish strong. But I don't think we go in a mindset sometimes of certain things. We're so excited to enter things. We're not thinking about how we're going to finish. And sometimes you have to have the mindset to finish strong, because when you think about finishing, you don't want to finish weak. You don't want to finish broke down, tired. You want to have such a mentality where you're excited to finish, but you're finishing with victory. There are certain times when we go through things in life where we look like what we've been through. And I don't want that to be the case for me. I want to be able to achieve and stay committed and finish strong, because I know that there are certain things that's tied towards there's certain lessons that's tied towards me finishing strong. Like, I love the fact that, listen, when you're as sometimes I work all day as a chef, and then I'll have some Red Bull, I have some coffee, and it'll boost up my energy. And sometimes you got to fill out remember, what are your energy boosters? So, for example, is it words of affirmation that builds you up stronger? Is it certain things like you got to find ways to reward yourself to boost your energy? And I know for one thing, for me, prayer is a big thing for boosting my energy, because there's sometimes I can feel down about something, but when I start speaking the word of God over myself, I start renewing my strength. Like, I allow God to renew my strength, because I found out what works for me when it comes to finishing strong and, you know, staying the course. But you have to find out what works for you. Through this journey of life, we find out there are things that we're part of where we have to implement things right away. Like, I think so. One thing about me, I'm always a person who goes with the flow. Sometimes that's great, but sometimes when it comes to finishing strong, you have to have things in place that's in your life that you know that once you get to this level, I know what fuels my energy. I know what gets me excited. I know what works for me. But you have to know those things sometimes, regardless, because, like, for example, is I keep snacks in my bag, you know, especially with the plane, because I've been on some planes where next year they have no snacks, and I was going all the way to I forgot where I was going. I was from Newark to not LA, but whatever. It was a 5-hour flight, and I didn't pack no snacks. And of this flight, I of all days didn't have any food available, so that was annoying. But for me, I know myself to be prepared. So, for example, there are certain things you have to learn to be prepared for. You have to, if I do feel failure, what do I do have in place that's set up for me to win? There's certain things you have to prepare yourself for. For example, meal prep is a great way to, when you know you're going to get hungry, so you eat fast food, you have your meal prepped out. There's certain things that you have in place that are designed to help you win in life. But if you don't know what is helped to design to help you win, it's harder for you to have a winner's mindset when you have things in place for you to win. I can hear you. Okay, good.
I clicked unmute and mute back again. I said, I'm over here in all these chats trying to get all this jam from what you were saying, because there was so much. Okay, let me go back to where you said you must be passionate about seeing yourself win as much as other people win, right? That part, oh my gosh, we don't do personally as entrepreneurs or business owners, we don't celebrate ourselves enough. I remember when I had just started working out and trying to, you know, get my weight down, trying to get, because I had always had these little jelly belly thighs, right? They look like jelly and jam. And I was like, I was born this way. When I found out I could do something about it, I was like, let's get serious about this thing. And I would reward myself along the way. If I had stayed committed to a week long of running, then I would say, get me a Starbucks. Now, that's not a good thing, a good reward, but that was my thing at the time. I was like, I wanted to have Starbucks every single day. So I went down to once a week. Then that changed and shifted as I was working out and getting stronger and developing more insight about what working out, all that healthy stuff or whatever. I stopped doing that and I replaced that with something else. Then I said, you know what? I remember somebody was saying to me, girl, you should get some new workout clothes. This is when, what's her name? I forgot the new one that's out, that's all over the place. This actor had her new line come out and they were like, you should get this because this fits good and it looks good. And I was like, I don't deserve that right now. They're like, you don't deserve that. I was like, that's a win for me. If I work out consistently for a month, then I get to buy myself new workout clothes. So I had set up markers along the way to reward myself along the way. And it really, really helped. But this is the type of thing that I did in the classroom. Josh knows, he's a teacher. We do this with the kids all the time. If you reach your goal, your reading goal, your math goal, or whatever the case may be along the way, we are rewarding kids all along the way. If you get an A on the test, here's your reward. This is what you get. And I was like, I'm not going to do that for me because I don't need that. I'm grown. I'm an adult. My will is more important. Listen, your body acts just like a little kid. All right. When your body want them cheese puffs or cheese doodles like I do, your body start acting up and start screaming and saying, give me what I want. And you give into it. So you have to start treating your body like it's a child and give it rewards along the way. And as you set up those markers, I mean, you don't got to talk to yourself like that, whatever works for you, but set up markers along the way so that when you get to 3 months in business, you are celebrating and you're saying, yes, girl, you made it 3 months. Because guess what? 2 years ago, when you try to do that, you only made it 2.5 months and you quit. So now set up a marker, 3 months, set up another marker at 6. You start doing well, set up a marker at 1 year and 2 year. Going to be 3 years in business for me on the 21st. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I set up my marker to celebrate myself. But these things are important so that you can not only, because it's mindset, right? The mindset comes first. Really, it's the spiritual. The spiritual man is way ahead of the game, right? Your spirit already knows where it needs to be. Then your mindset follows, but your body is the last thing to get on board with what you think and believe you are to be. So how do you get your body to get into that place? You set up things along the way so your body knows that this is a celebration. Like, getting to this point, we are celebrating. Get your body into the habit of being a winner, of being successful, there's one thing that E.T. says, winners win. That's all they do. He said, that's what winners do. They win. Losers lose, right? I'm like, well, winners lose sometimes too. But he's like, no, you have to get your mind into that mindset. You have to get your body actually along the way to say, this is what we do. We win. And setting up small markers along the way is so important to help your body recognize that you are a winner. That's what we do for winners. We celebrate. Why not celebrate along the way? In my academy, I was going to say a whole lot more, but I'm going to just stop here. In my academy, my Clarity to Execute Academy, we do Wednesday, every single Wednesday. This Wednesday, right, for my group of, it's 12 of us in there right now. So this Wednesday, I was like, you know what? Let me give these girls a break. And we doing Wednesday every day. I know they probably be like, I ain't got no win. This is what I was feeling. So I didn't say anything. At 2:35, one of my clients came in and said, it's Wednesday. I'm about to drop my wins in the chat. She was like, I've been waiting all day, but I couldn't hold it any longer. And I said, you know what? Thank you, God. Because when my body was saying, nah, they need a break, we're not going to do it today, somebody else who had been accustomed to winning every single Wednesday decided, I'm not even going to wait for the coach. I'm going to hop in here and do what she do all the time anyway. And it reminded me of who I was. So I had to come in and be like, you know what? Coach Kim said it's Wednesday. Let's go. I'm about to drop my wins in the chat. Y'all better go ahead and drop y'all's. And we had a whole lot of wins. Same thing happens with your body. Get your body into the mindset of being a winner. And it starts with the small things first. And I'm going to land that plane there.
That's good. I think that's so dope about just knowing when your wins. I think we have to get acclimated to a culture of finding the wins every day. Because there are certain things that we accomplish every single day, but we don't take time to acknowledge it because we're so focused on what's at hand. But when you take time to acknowledge the great things that you're experiencing, like a win is that we woke up on the right side of this side of the earth. That's the first win. I've learned to have an attitude of gratitude, because once you start to be grateful for things, you start to see everything as a win. Okay, you know what? It may has not been the way I wanted to, but I think you got that this is a win for me because of X, Y, and Z. I'm finding the ways to be grateful. I'm finding the ways to be thankful, because the more you start to acknowledge the good things, more good things will come. You may not have, it may have not been perfect today, but you know what though? I thank you that today I'm going to make it better. It may have not been the smoothest day, but guess what? I'm glad that it's only 4:43 in the afternoon, that I still have some time to get it right. I think you have to learn how to pivot to prosper, where you can't give up, you can't quit. You have to have an attitude that says, you know what though, I know that I'm gonna find something that I won today. I'm gonna feel something that I'm good at today. I'm gonna feel something that I'm a champion at today. It may not be, the greatest day, but you know what though? Like the sun was shining today. I had time. Like I've learned, sometimes I have to build my gratitude up to realize that I'm still on the winning side. There's some things I have to build my faith up to receive. And it's very challenging sometimes when you look at things that seem so big, that's discouraging. But I realize that, you know what, if I take every single day, step by step, I'm going to finish strong. I'm going to stay committed. I'm going to choose to win. Winning is a choice. Believing is a choice. Faith is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Joy is, everything is a choice in life. And it's not about what happens to you, but it's about your reaction to what happens to you that makes the most difference. So I just encourage you guys today that if you're looking to make a change in your life, you can do it. It's nothing that you can't do. You may not realize how you can do it, but there's a way that is like, man, I never knew this was the way I can do it. So as you like go in your day of life, as you like continue on, I pray that you find out what is your way to stay committed. I hope that you find ways to focus more, for ways to find the clarity of your purpose, because once you get clarity of your purpose, life seems so much easier. So I encourage you guys, if you're looking for coaching, reach out to Natalie and myself. If you're looking for some dope apparel about some EMT, which is elevated message threads, you can click on my link tree as well too, because it's time to win and it's time to see
It's
faith
time.
and positivity around you. All right, that's it. We are done. Have a super dope week on purpose.